The early access demo for Crackshell's Hammerwatch 2 is everything I wanted from a handcrafted Hammerwatch sequel, and there's a good chance it'll bring back fans that dislike the inherently repetitive, procedurally generated rogue-lite structure of Heroes of Hammerwatch. It fleshes out the story and lore, brings back sprawling, secret-filled dungeons as interconnected regions like the Temple of the Sun expansion, expands upon the character build and gear system from Heroes of Hammerwatch to bring it closer to that of a traditional RPG, and it enhances the visual style to support beautiful overworld areas, more varied interiors, and more distinctive character sprites. The first big change is immediately obvious when Hammerwatch 2 opens with a lengthy intro that retcons and reframes the events of its predecessor. An alliance between King Roland's brother and the evil necromancer, Blight, sees 3 dragons defeat his armies and sack the kingdom. The dragons were then sent to guard the borders of the kingdom while the king's brother took control, and the necromancer recovered their power. This allowed a few remaining loyalists to rescue the king and begin a rebellion. 3 squads of veteran adventurers were sent to defeat each dragon, hopefully leaving the necromancer vulnerable to destruction before their full power was restored. The group of adventurers you played in Hammerwatch was one such party, and the sequel, which assumes you found all those damnable secret planks, picks up as they emerge from the crumbling castle on Hammer Island and prepare to set sail back to the mainland. The retconned and expanded narrative elements, coupled with the new map structure, mean a lot more NPCs with dialogue and traditional RPG questing, including an actual journal and a bugs and cellar starting quest. You adventure across a dense overworld connected to sprawling, multi-level dungeons no less intricate than those found in the first game, and still filled with plenty of secrets and deadly traps. In the Hammer Island region available in the demo, there's a harbour town with plot-essential characters, several secondary quest givers, and abundant NPCs that dole out a bit of flavour text. Storytelling is still not the focus, so you won't find any dialogue choices or the ability to turn down quests, but, just like the Temple of the Sun expansion, it makes the world feel a little more alive and reactive, though you'll still be interacting with vendors and trainers primarily. The quests that are doled out are traditional RPG fare and, as such, a mixed bag. Those significant to the plot will direct you to specific dungeons to rescue key NPCs or defeat a boss for some key item. The rest are a mix of engaging, think digging up items based on simple maps you need to correlate to the real world, or formulaic, think killing or finding X number of something. The latter feel more like filler you can complete on the way to the main quest objectives, but I did notice drops and enemy spawns have a degree of randomness, and it was frustrating to have to rerun a dungeon with respawning enemies and destructibles to see a few of them completed. Of course, the core gameplay loop in the sequel remains unchanged. Kill lots and lots and lots and lots of mobs from an isometric perspective, ideally with friends, or getting better at it all the time. In classic Gauntlet style, you're always going up against large mobs that can swamp you, so staying mobile, baiting stragglers, kiting enemies into kill zones, and investing in area of effect skills, regardless of whether you're a paladin, ranger, or wizard, remains essential if you don't want every battle to involve 10 minutes of backpedaling. When it comes to the bosses, they're once again escalating multi-phase battles against damage sponges that force you to find a gap while dodging screen-filling attacks, environmental hazards, and sometimes added minions. Thankfully, movement and combat feel more satisfying than ever in Hammerwatch 2, with the progression mechanics from Heroes of Hammerwatch expanded upon and refined. There are rarity-tiered gear drops and some light inventory management, abundant resources for trading, alchemy recipes, and crafting upgrades, and multi-tier, multi-level skill trees you can invest points into by paying trainers and gaining levels from quest or combat XP. I settled on the Ranger for most of my playtime and, from the get-go, I could be more aggressive and tactical with dual daggers, a chargeable bow shot, an AoE thorn spell, and a dodge roll on a cooldown. It was still easy to see my health bar shredded if I stumbled into a trap or got cornered, but the sequel uses the Diablo-style respawn system from Heroes of Hammerwatch, so I could just choose where to respawn with only a gold penalty. I don't know if the balancing is representative of the final game, but it was a far cry from the slow start Hammerwatch suffered from. Hammerwatch's grid-like pixel art aesthetic was always divisive, but it worked well within the puzzle, trap, and secret-filled level design, and I appreciated the trade-off between atmosphere and readability, ensuring you could always keep track of your hero no matter the size of the battle and the visual chaos. Hammerwatch 2 has stuck with that style, but enhanced the visuals to provide more detailed and interactive environments, full of fine details and visually diverse destructibles, paired with a time-of-day system and dynamic atmospheric effects like mist, wind, and rain. The visuals complement the dense, handcrafted environments that still make full use of the map without feeling too artificial and grid-like. Overall, it feels a lot like the shift from 8-bit isometric RPGs to the 16-bit era. Character sprites are still squat and chunky, but easier to differentiate beyond a palette swap, and include unique battle cries and distinct attack sounds. As with the prior games, the soundtrack is brilliant, and it often reworks classic tracks when you're in or around the ruins of Castle Hammerwatch. The trade-off is a much busier environment and a line-of-sight system, often making it hard to see some enemy types when there's such a stark contrast between light and dark areas, especially if you're using the CRT filter options I'm so fond of. It was still my preferred way to play, but I walked into far more ambushes than I ever did in the prior games, and some might prefer to disable or tone down the visual filters. As I played through the demo before it went live, my only lingering concerns are the co-op balance. Can we expect more monsters? Tankier monsters? And will we get local co-op on consoles again? My other issue is whether the Kill X or Collect Y secondary quests will begin to feel like padding if they require rerunning dungeons and hoping for good RNG drops. Regardless of how it turns out, I suspect Hammerwatch 2 is set to be a fantastic follow-up to fans of the original, while still retaining a lot of the progression mechanics and combat enhancements some would have enjoyed in the Heroes of Hammerwatch spin-off. There's more storytelling, satisfying combat from the start, much deeper RPG systems to build your character, and a beautiful handcrafted world I just can't wait to explore more of. If you've got this far, please consider giving the video a like and maybe subscribing to our channel as it helps us grow.